Hello and welcome to GLOBALink, brought to you by Xinhua News Agency. I'm Huang Yiping in Beijing. 2020 is an unusual year. It has been one of the hardest years in generations. The Oxford English Dictionary describes 2020 as a year which cannot be neatly accommodated in one single word. In today's GLOBALink, we will ask our correspondents based in different countries, as well as experts and people from around the world with just one question. How was your 2020? Joining me now are 6 of my colleagues based in the US, the UK, Japan, Mexico, Egypt, and Italy. So first, we talk to our correspondent Wei Ying in New York. Hello, Wei Ying. How was your 2020?
As the year of 2021 comes, the world is still struggling to handle the COVID-19 pandemic. The US is the worst hit in the world by the COVID-19 pandemic. In the past 2020, I have witnessed the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic in the US, large-scale protests against racism and police brutality across the US, and the US election. Black Lives Matter has now become one of the most well-known slogans in 2020.
Thank you very much, Wei Ying, and take care. Well, joining me now is Jing Jing from London. Hi, Jing Jing. Tell us about your 2020.
Well, I believe the entire year of 2020 is unforgettable, because for so many around the world, everything just changed. If I have to pick one moment, that was on March the 26th, soon after the UK imposed its first national lockdown. On that Thursday, and indeed on many Thursdays after that, people around the country stepped out of their homes and did a big round of applause for all the people working in the fight against coronavirus. Turn to the life that we all took for granted. To be with the people we love, to have a drink in the pub nearby, to shop for presents for friends and family, and to allow my daughter to go to school safely like she used to.
Couldn't put it better myself. Thank you very much for sharing, Jing Jing. And now we head for Japan. Joining me now is Guo Wei, our Xinhua correspondent in Tokyo. Hello, Guo Wei. How was your 2020 in Tokyo?
2020 was one heck of a year for everyone in the world. I want to call it an unprecedented working and life experience. I still remember that in the early days of the COVID-19 outbreak, there was no way to buy masks anywhere in Tokyo. So at that time, it was really difficult for us. Every time I went out for work, it means that there was chances that I could get infected, And during the past year, especially during the state of emergency, nearly all the activities were canceled and everything all of a sudden turned online. And I guess everyone else felt the same as I did. And I'm telling you, I stayed at home all day for almost a month without talking to anyone. And it took quite some time for me to adapt to all these. But now it's totally fine because I'm all used to it.
Well, it was indeed a difficult year for all of us. Thank you very much for sharing and take care, Guo Wei. And now I'm joined by Yang Chunxue, our correspondent in Mexico. Hello, Chunxue. Tell us about your stories in Mexico.
2020 is a very special year for every one of us. In the face of the novel coronavirus pandemic, we have seen a lot of heartbreaking stories. But at the same time, we learned that love and solidarity are everywhere. I remember when the pandemic hit Latin America, China was the first country to lend a helping hand, boosting the region's relatively fragile healthcare systems. As the saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. I'm deeply impressed by the solidarity prevailing between the two continents divided by the vast Pacific Ocean.
Exactly. Solidarity is the key to cope with a global crisis like this. Thank you very much, Chunxue. And next, we link to Wu Danni, Xinhua correspondent in Cairo. Welcome, Danny. How was your year in Cairo?
There's no doubt that 2020 is a dark year, especially for a tourist country like Egypt. Its tourism sector, which was the economic pillar for this country, has been greatly affected by the lockdown over the COVID-19 pandemic. Now we're in 2021. We cannot change the past, but we can make the future. In this year, I'm full of expectations for the relationship between China and Egypt and also other Arab countries. I believe that this world is a fine place and it's worth fighting for.
That's a good one. Thank you very much, Danny, and take care. And now I'm joined by Robert Ferranti from Xinhua Rome Bureau. Welcome, Robert. Tell us your story from Italy.
The COVID-19 pandemic suddenly changed my life a lot. both professionally and personally. At the beginning, just a small thing, for example, wearing a mask or respect a safe distance. But in a few weeks, the lockdown come. Sometime when I shot around the city in a lockdown time, even the city was unbelievable. It was a kind of unnatural feeling. Everything was silent, a very heavy silent. Now the situation is getting better. People go out. We can go out much more than before. So I'm looking forward to a normal way to work again as before.
Thank you very much, Robert, for sharing your stories, and take care. Joining me now are experts. Let's hear what do they have to say.
The coronavirus is not an easy one. We have been learning from those who had that problem before us, and in this case, China, and we are very grateful to the People's Republic of China. They actually did send their doctors to Zimbabwe for us to learn from them how they managed containing that disease in China.
We learned all the time. Chinese scientists and physicians publish a lot of papers in the international media, which for us it's very, very constructive because we can learn from your experience.
Son problemas que afectan a todo el mundo y que la solución y la cooperación tiene que ser por parte de todos. Y creo que China con esta experiencia va a acumular mucho conocimiento, mucho aprendizaje y mucha experiencia como para poder compartir después al resto del mundo también para combatir este tipo de epidemias que son, como dije, problemas globales.
Y nosotros creemos que tanto el gobierno como el pueblo chino han reaccionado adecuadamente. Y este va a ser un año complicado para todos, para China, para Argentina y para el mundo. Pero nosotros confiamos que a partir del año 21 China va a retomar su ritmo de crecimiento habitual.
The speed with which China detected the outbreak, isolated the virus, sequenced the genome, and shared it with WHO and the world are very impressive and beyond words. So is China's commitment to transparency and to supporting other countries. In many ways, China is actually setting a new standard for outbreak response, and it's not an exaggeration.
China has effectively saved the world from a possible and a very lethal pandemic. And we have hats off to the policymakers and the scientists who also isolated the virus very quickly and then developed the diagnostics very quickly for this.
Some say it might not be a year you want to remember, but 2020 is one that you will never forget. Let's find out how people around the world share their experiences in 2020 as well as their wishes for 2021 in the following Vox Box.
Per me il 2020, nonostante la pandemia, è stato un anno positivo.
Lo más inolvidable para mí, lo malo que ha sido el año con respecto a la pandemia, todo lo que hemos pasado. No es fácil, verdaderamente no es fácil.
Y hemos tenido que estar ahí al tanto en Nasobuco, y eso es una cosa que no se podrá olvidar, creo que jamás en la vida.
Impressive thing from 2020. Well, we survived. I think that's the most impressive thing.
Per il 2021 mi auguro un anno pieno di speranza e tornare ad essere libere come prima.
I hope that we remain safe and healthy throughout 2021 and we overcome Corona by the end of it.
And apa yang saya harapkan untuk 2021, for sure untuk better job.
Hanging out with people and hoping that COVID, just leave.
Y mi deseo es que se acabe esto para un futuro y nada, y aprender más el tiempo vivido con todos mis seres queridos.